Check it. What's good, y'all?
Welcome back.
Yes, sir.
Welcome back. Feeling like young Mace.
Ooh,
I don't know if
legend.
I don't know, like demographic is right for that age group. Welcome
like
back.
legend.
If you didn't know.
Feel goated after you mentioned him. Sheesh. Feel good to be back on the mic though. How y'all living?
I'm
You gonna make me get right in the glows and grows, shit.
right. That's what I was feeling, right? That's what I was feeling. I'm like, nah, let's get into it. Usually we'd be having like conversation going into it, but it was like a little stillness beforehand. So yeah.
Let's feel a little different this week, but that's all good. Yeah, feel a little different. It's all good to switch it up sometimes.
All right.
One of y'all hit it.
Say less. I guess I'm going first then. I don't know, man. Life is crazy. Adulting specifically it can be a beast, man. I think, my growth still has to be on the health side. I feel like I'm cooking in a lot of different aspects of my life. I'm cooking, business. I'm kind of cooking, in relationships. Like I'm happy where I live, but the health is something that you really got to make it a part of your lifestyle. And yeah, and then it's very easy not to. It's very easy to neglect that and take your youth for advantage. And so health is definitely my biggest. And one of the things that I was just pondering over that Tunji said last podcast, but I've heard it before, and which is a healthy man has 1,000 wishes. A sick man only has one, which is obviously to get better. And that is so real. Yesterday, I had really bad food poisoning. And of all the important things I needed to get done, the only thing I cared about was just getting back to full health. Nothing even mattered. Not money, not people calling me, not what's on TV, not what the Warriors are doing to Dallas. Nothing mattered. It was just being able to get out of bed. So health is just, it's one of those things that it's not just a grow moment that I get to do in 2 weeks or a week or a month. It's really a thing that I have to learn how to integrate into my life full circle. Tunji's already kind of like smiling because I know this is his bag. So on the glow side, on the glow side, I feel like I've been pretty good at connecting with my friends. I can be a little bit of a lone wolf, but I've been, sometimes when I don't have sometimes I don't really just hit people up for any old reason other than to give them their flowers, other than to be like, hey, I see you, I see you out here doing what you're doing. I'm proud of you. And, it's almost like gratitude when you just kind of give people your flowers. Like you're always going to benefit. Like you're never not going to feel good by giving somebody their flowers or getting flowers in return. So, that's kind of what I feel like I've been glowing at.
Zuri, you want to run it?
Yeah, sure. Man, it was a good one, Kamau. I feel like start with my glow first. I feel like my glow has been, I kind of spoke on it on the other episode, most recent as well. Just being in the moment and seeing the lessons in every day. Is getting so good and is such a blessing every day to switch my mindset. And as we talked about on our first episode and some couples after that, it was just sometimes we have to literally take our thoughts and have a good day, even if we're not having a good day. And if you all remember, I would always kind of struggle and come back with a rebuttal. I still feel the same, but at the same time, I'm finding a way that works for me. And what works for me is even if I have to force myself to see lessons, maybe in something someone said, maybe in something that I usually would tick me off, but I would see the lesson in how the person said it, whatever it may be. Sometimes I'm riding in my car. sometimes I even ride with the music off if I'm not in that mood. And that's when I really get in my bag of thinking. And I'll just like chuckle to myself sometimes. I might see someone outside, or y'all, when I tell you, honestly, if I can get transparent, it would be a lesson even seeing someone on the side of the road, right? And just, it was this one guy, he was standing on the side of the road. He has one leg, right? He's on crutches. It's 91 degrees outside, and he's standing out there, doing what he has to do to ask for $1, whatever may have you, whatever we have as we're sitting in the car in air conditioning at the stoplight. He's outside, one leg on crutches, but he has a smile on his face. Like, I'm sitting there at the stoplight, and as I'm looking at him, of course, I'm looking for something to see if I have anything to give him. But I'm looking at, and he has a smile on his face. And I'm trying to think, if I was in that same predicament, would I have a smile on my face? And even in that moment, that lesson that just punched me in my face was like, Zuri, you're good. Like, you're good no matter what you're going through, no matter, what job you've lost, no matter if you found what you're going to do next, you're good. Now, what follows that is the question, right? Where I have to think, where am I good, right? I start really naming my blessings, naming things that I'm good in, right? I have healthy hair. I'm healthy. I can see. Some people don't even have the luxury of seeing. There's so many things that we could pick out, man. And just in that moment, I just started smiling like, wow, this man is smiling. Like, he has to have joy, because in that moment, like, you're outside and you're probably homeless and you have a reason to smile. And if he could find a reason to smile, I damn sure could. Right. So I think finding the lessons in every day, and sometimes you might have to fish for those lessons too. Sometimes I'll be in a situation and I would try to find a lesson or find a good thing. And it just feels good. Like, it gives me butterflies, because it's like, man, we really out here. We're doing just fine, and sometimes greater. And another thing, I actually have two glows. I have a glow in the area of growth, right? So it's kind of like a connotation on what we're talking about. It's like just being in the moment. Like, you cannot control everything. And I tweeted the other day where I was like, things that I can't control, it's not my business. But things that I can, it's like I'm good in, right? It's like, even if it's something dealing with me, that's none of my business.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm doing everything that I can. And this goes back to my situation again of just thinking, like, if I could do something, I would, but because I've done everything I can, I'm actually doing excellent. I'm doing great. And I think those are just my glows for this week. My grow would be emotionally intelligence, like, for sure. Like, that was something I came into 2022 with as a goal, and I'm just finding myself being more open. That's with friends, family, and situations that piss me off or that hurt me. I'm finding the lesson in that as well before I let it just get to me and hurt me too bad, or me try to control that. So that's definitely my growth.
Hey, y'all talking this fine evening. my grow, I think, is still the saying no piece, right? My no being no and my yes being yes. Because it's so hard when the things you want to do are not the things you need to do, but you like, these things matter too. Like, this is family. These are people that are close to you. And like, being able to say no, knowing that it puts somebody in a hard situation, right? Like, now they got to figure something out. But, and it kind of lends into what my blessing is. So my glow is staying down. Like, I got my first in-person workshop this weekend of the year, and I'm just on one.
Yes, sir.
Right? Like, because it's crazy how like a level of sacrifice can be a glow. Because when you put into so much into something, like, I've put my money that I don't have that could have gone other places have gone to this. And I just think about like so many other people, like when, your heroes and these people that you look up to start to become your peers. Because I've heard that some people at the stage of, like, no, when you chase your dream, you're not making money, you spending money, right? Like, you working a full-time job and your money's going here. So I'm like doing this workshop, and I'm like, these resources, they need them. The organization that's paying for it, they can't afford the resources, but they need them though. So what you gonna do? Like, not only am I gonna pay, like, okay, I got the little bread for the workshop, I got that early. Okay, let's buy these resources. You know, let's give them what they need. So it's like just having the vision so strong. So I guess my glow is that I get to do this, right? I just made everything so small out of all the 100 things I need to do. And I'm like, I get to live my dream. I get to actively live my dream. I dreamed something 10, 11 years ago, which is a trip to say at like 21, 22, and to be 10 years down the road and like to not know what it looked like, right? To have no idea, just to be out here talking to people, talking greasy with no evidence, right? Just talking like, this is what is going to happen. $100 million, it's going to be this, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. How you going to get there? You're like, yeah. Right now I'm teaching. You know what I'm saying? Right now, this is step one. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And that, when you get to, because I'm not even there yet, right? But when you can step back, like you said, Zuri, that gratitude, you can step back and you can look at 10 years ago where you were, when you really were just standing on faith, really. And now you get to live it, right? It's not just what, it's different. Like glow on another level. And if we can transition, this made me think about this, right? Like legacy. When you're talking about like giving your flowers, Kamau, and then Zuri, when you were talking about gratitude, like let's say your life plays out exactly how you want it to, right? On your deathbed, what do you think you would be most grateful for? Everything plays out exactly how you want it to. You're on your deathbed, you're looking back. What do you think? Like, man, like, but this though, oh. And it's a heavy question. So it could be one of the things, two of the things, whatever. But what do you think?
So if I could jump in and answer that, which is a heavy question, but it's definitely needed. The first thing that popped in my mind without me even trying, which means that's my real deal answer. When I'm laying there and that crosses my mind at that time, Tunji, I want to be able to say that I solved a problem. Well, I started to solve a problem that was way bigger than me. Because I saw this quote one time and it said, if you can solve the problem while you're here, while you were still alive, it wasn't big enough. Yeah. So while I'm laying there in your scenario, I want to be able to say, wow, I started that and I made such a dent in it that someone has to take it on. And because it has so much depth and it has so much purpose in it, God is going to make sure that someone is going to take it on, because that still has to get done. I was just the generator of it. I was the innovator of it, right? And I'm laying on that. I have to think that. If I don't think that, something was wrong. But honestly, because I thought it's definitely gonna happen. But I just want to be that starter and put a dent in it and really walk in it, where someone has to take it on and say, man, it might not get done in 2 decades. It might not get done in 4. But let me tell you, that century might come around and the whole mindset around that thing might be changed forever, because it's something that has to be changed, right? In my mind, and it was put there by the higher power, which means it has a purpose. It's going to lay somewhere. It's going to lay some eggs somewhere, right? But it's way bigger than me, like way bigger. So that's definitely mine.
I know this is not what you meant, but I love the how it's like, somebody's going to take this baton. Like, I'm going to make somebody, somebody's going to have to take this. Somebody's going to have to shoulder this burden.
It's beauty and burdens, though.
There we go.
It starts out as a burden because nobody has done it before. But the beauty in it on that other side of the burden, so many people's lives can be changed, so many mindsets, so many generational wealth, inner wealth, whatever you want to call it, man. It's beauty in it for sure.
Come on with the one-liners now. Man, I think like Zuri, I just got to go with, my first reaction, right? Because I think that's the closest one to truth, the one that you just instinctively bubbles up and it's like, damn, like even if this one doesn't logically make sense, or even if this one, doesn't impress everybody, this is my one, So for me, I think it's to build a company that just like I think that just I think that just had such a big impact and was just a force to be reckoned with. Um, I think that's mine. It's to build something that cannot be ignored, to build something that is bigger than me ultimately. Like I don't want to be a celebrity. I just want you to know me because I built something that's so big that you know it. And then by association, you're going to know me. But yeah, I think it's to build something. I think, you know, something about a position I'm in right now where, you know, I'm an acting director, I'm getting to manage a budget. The best part of the position I am right now is being able to give other people opportunities, being able to put money in other people's pockets, put opportunity, you know, give them training that they want, like just help people develop themselves. Like to me, that's what I really enjoy the most, because I know how it feels being on the other side, you know, wanting an opportunity, wanting some money, wanting to just like help me put my family in a better position, help me put, you know, other people in a better position, and to be the source or the generator of those opportunities. It feels really good, you know, and you don't, like, at least I don't do that in like a braggadocious way. I don't do that in a way that's like, hey, like, you know, I gave you this opportunity, don't forget that. But it's more so to be like, you know, I believe in you. Like I see something in you and I believe in you enough that I'm going to give you this opportunity because I know this is just the start of what it is for you. Like I know there's so much bigger than what I'm able to give you right now. And I know, and if it plays out correctly, you should exceed me. You should go on beyond me. You know, you should grow to the point where I can't even afford you anymore because the opportunities that you're getting, you know, they're just in abundance. And I think, you know, things like that where like, you know, somebody else said something to me, you know, it was a pretty big business owner. And he said something to me that really surprised me as we were talking about money, and the way that he's building his business is really not about just profits. It's not about how much money and revenue can this thing bring in. And he was like, money is it needs to be in the car of the business. Metaphorically, the business is a car. Money should be in the car, but it should not be in the driver's seat. And just thinking about that as a philosophy on how, you know, you approach business, because I think a lot of people might think of business as evil, or might think of business as like just money hungry, just like sucking all the resources out of a community, out of a whatever. But if money isn't the driver in the car, then there's so many different directions you can take something to have an impact that isn't only about the bottom line. So, yeah.
Sheesh. That's a dope question.
Jim drop. Yeah, it is a dope
real
question.
talk. Those responses. And I just think it's heavy. Like when you put the end of life in perspective, everything becomes about community, right? Everything becomes about like, what can other people take from how you lived? And the dope people that like we look up to, it's from the, I don't know why Fannie Lou Hamer comes to mind, because if you don't know Fannie Lou, she's the chosen one. Like, but that's another lesson for another day. But like that's who we look to, right? Those people, because of how they live and like the strength and wisdom we can take from them. And my answer is a lot like Zuri's, really. Because one thing really hit me when I was on this journey, I'm still on this journey, was that I looked at the Black community and I looked at myself and I looked at my blessings and I asked myself, okay, how did we get here, right? It took generations. Let's use the 400-year mark. 400 years of People actively deciding that I am going to try and destabilize and destroy this community. People actively dedicating their life to it. And I ask myself practically, how does it get fixed? The opposite has to be done. Somebody practically saying, I'm dedicating my life to moving in the opposite direction in whatever calls me. So it's like I get one lifetime and it's like, what do I do with it? And I still want to live fully. So as Zuri said, on my deathbed, I look at it like the Matrix. I'm not Neo, right? But I'm Morpheus. And I'm like, I get to find the chosen one. And I get to set him up. I get to get so greasy with the skill set that, because Morpheus, don't get it twisted, Morpheus is him, but he ain't him. And the beautiful thing about this mentality is it alleviates so much pressure from you, right? It's almost like a shoulder down. Like, I just get to live my fullest life and chase my dream. And on my deathbed, I get to look across the fields and the world at all these chosen ones, at all these seeds that it was my responsibility to cultivate, all these skills that I got to cultivate. Like, I got to live a full life, myself, the fullest, and that be a blessing to everyone around me. Like, it feels like a cheat code to me. Like, I feel like, why be Neo when you could be Morpheus? Like, like, to keep it a stack. And then you get to look into people and see the best in them. Because the beautiful thing is, like, on that deathbed, like, so many people will come to you and be like, I had no idea what was in me. And just to see the best in people throughout a lifetime. So that's like, on that deathbed, that's what I want to be grateful for. Like, people saying, like, thank you for seeing the best in me, because I didn't even see that in myself.
Right. Or thank you for setting up what
Right,
you set up
right.
to make me find the best of myself. And I think that's so much power,
Right? It's
in
like,
it, because it's like, all I did was be myself. All I did was be Zuri. All I did was follow that voice of the higher power. All I did was follow what I've always wanted to do. Who knew that this was going to lead me to lead you to be who you are? So you can take on this thing, or you can take on your own thing. And I think that's why so many of us on our deathbed, when they're asked that last question, like you said, Tunji, it's all about community. Because I think that's the answer right there. And it's going to sound like an oxymoron, but it's just like, the answer, why is the answer right at our deathbed? Ain't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like, we've been looking for the answer our whole life, and on a deathbed, right, is right there, or as it seems that it's right there, right before I experience it. I think that is beauty in itself, and that's why I think a life is so beautiful, because as your loved one is going on to that transition, and you're hurt, you have that hurt, and that you're crying, but then someone you don't even know is being born.
Real talk.
Right? It's like so many people are being born while this death and while these many deaths are happening. But that's a metaphor too of ideas being created, as we're talking about, right? All of our 3 different ideas that are going to help so many people while we're on our deathbed. There's probably a child being born who was meant to carry out what we even started. And I think that's that magic that everyone looks for.
Real talk. Go ahead, Kamau.
I was just gonna say that I think the challenging part, when we're talking about on the deathbed, right? About all the pivots and proceeds that you had to go there to get that realization, though, right?
Ding, ding, ding.
That's the hardest part, and that's the part that's not even clear until the end, right? Because I think when you're on your deathbed, or when life flashes before your eyes, or something traumatic happens, right? When I was sick as shit yesterday, and all I wanted to do was one thing, right? Was to get better. I think when like things happen, it really puts life into perspective. Everything gets a lot more simpler. Like all of this, like, I got to improve my credit. I got to like all of this extra stuff, that kind of complicates life, right? That makes it so dense with all of the things we got to think about and take care of. It gets a lot simpler when something happens. I think the challenging part, though, is just all these pivots that you got to endure to continue to chase that purpose, to continue to get in alignment with yourself, to continue to follow God's calling. Like it's a ton of pivots, and it's hard, frankly,
Facts. And speaking to the pivot and proceed piece, I know we're speaking of the actual deathbed, but while you were speaking, Kamau, I started thinking of the many deaths that we have within our life that causes those pivots. Because when you think about it, we're talking about just that one, but we have to die to certain things so many times throughout our life, whether it was a mindset, whether it was a relationship, whether it was a way that, habits have to die to old habits. And it's like sometimes you have to, not even sometimes, there are going to be a lot of times, because I'm 27 and I've had so many of those that I'm speaking of, where at the time they hurt so much and I just didn't understand, right? I'm looking at myself like, it's me. When really, when I came out on the other side, I'm like, oh, thank God. Right? Thank God I got let go. Thank God I left. Thank God I moved back. Thank God. Because now you see what that proceed point led you to. It led you maybe to a more elevated mindset. It maybe led you to more self-love. It maybe led you to your first experience of self-love. And it doesn't matter what age you are. No matter if you're 50, 20, 18. If you're just now figuring some things out, it's okay. You're probably gonna have to keep figuring some other things out. And you came to this point at that time just to figure that step out to help you with your next step, and so on and so forth.
What? Oh man, like that the point of like pivot and proceed for me personally, I think about when you talk about those mini deaths, because I was just talking about this earlier today, like the different versions of myself that I've experienced through life, and just looking back and be like, those are different me's. And one,
isn't it
like
crazy?
It's a trip. Like it, and it made me think about two things. One, Muhammad Ali, the GOAT. He said, a man that sees himself the same way at 50 as he did when he was 20 has wasted 30 years of his life. So like, that's just off rip. That's self-explanatory. But last year, for the longest, I meditated on this, like, what will become of your greatest failure, right? What will you use it for? And the example that came to me, because like for the longest, I asked myself, like, do you want to be a good man or do you just want to be seen as one? Because that validation is easy. Like once you get told, like, hey, you good, you this, validation comes easy and you just feel smooth. But being quote unquote a good person, right? A good human being doesn't always look like we assume it looks, right? It looks like telling the truth when you don't always want to, when it doesn't necessarily make sense to. And what really shifted my perspective on this is, the Nobel Peace Prize? It's named after Alfred Nobel. My man invented dynamite. And he invented it because people were just, people, what was it? I think it was for excavation or something, or his brother got hurt with nitroglycerin. So he was trying to make it safer. And he made dynamite. My man got stupid rich. And people started using it to kill people. He made it so easy to kill people and got stupid rich off of it, but that wasn't his intent. And then his brother died. And they thought it was not from something else, just like natural causes or whatever. But they thought it was Alfred Nobel, like Mr. Dynamite. When I tell you they killed my man in the obituary, they said the merchant of death is dead. Finally, they started hitting Day Dougie, like, and he got to read his own obituary. And he was like, this is my legacy. You talk about on your deathbed, he got to look at it before he actually died. And he took a step
scary
back,
sight.
right? Yeah. And he's like, yo, this is what it is. Like, I had good intentions, right? But what he did, because he got an opportunity to, he donated just about, I don't know if it was all his fortune, but I know in that time, he donated $300 million.
Wow.
To the foundation where the Nobel Peace Prize was created, where those people that have given so much to the earth, to life, to humanity, will get this award, will get broken off bread, will be recognized like globally. Because he gave, I don't even know how much money that translates to, 300 million to now, because that's what he gave then. Like, if I have that number correct. So it's like he got an opportunity to shift his legacy. Because so many people don't know that story. But when you like go through that process of looking at your deathbed now, right? Looking at it now, you can decide, okay, what does it look like to be seen as good versus being good? What, because intentions don't always cut it. That's what that story tells me. You can have all the best intentions in the world. What did the actions say? And what are the results of those actions? So yeah, that's I don't even
You want to
that
know
story
what's
is something
funny?
heavy.
I actually wrote my obituary about a month ago.
Yo,
That's a
that's
wild boy.
crazy.
That's a
Yeah.
wild
Walk it
boy.
right. Walk us
Hey,
through that if you want
yeah.
to.
Yeah, no, it actually wasn't by my own thought. You know, I got to shout out my coach, TJ. He I actually reached out to him because I had been looking for, somebody to just help me kind of go to the next level in terms of, I think, mostly my career, but not just my career, but just trying to find work that aligns with me, that work that I just feel like is not work, really kind of getting into that purpose, passion work. And I believe in coaching, I believe in mentorship. I believe in, getting taught and learning. But yeah, last thing I'll say about the coaching is that another good piece of advice that I got is, when you do find somebody who is worth, who you really want them to coach you or teach you, pay them what they're worth. People aren't gonna just do stuff for free, nor should you ask them. They spent their whole lives, gathering some of this knowledge and information, right? Like, I think Pablo Picasso was quoted once, if I write I write this sketch on a napkin, and I tell you it's worth, $1 million, and then you come back to me and say, it took you 5 minutes. Like, why would I pay you $1 million for that? And it's like, no, it took me, 40 years of all these paintings and all this stuff that I learned over time to draw this one sketch on a napkin. So the same thing is true with anybody who you're trying to learn from. If they have value, pay them what they're worth. All right, segue into the obituary piece. It was 2 exercises. It was writing your core values, and it was writing your obituary. And I think the purpose of the obituary, because I'm looking at it right now in front of me, it's really to kind of, it makes you think about, what is the legacy you want to leave. It really does. And what is the legacy that you want to leave through other people's eyes, right? Like, how, because when you're dead, a lot of times, if you die just kind of abruptly, you don't get to write your own legacy. So people are going to ultimately interpret your life, and you can kind of have your own little version of how you think you're living your life, kind of to what Tunji said about, like, being a good person, being a good man, versus making it seem like you're a good person. So yeah, this obituary exercise, I think, some of the biggest themes I think that came out of it for me was wanting a family, and then wanting to build a cool company. And I think when you're doing the obituary exercise, because obituaries are tough too, they're actually really short. You don't get to write 3, 4, 5 pages about yourself. Most obituaries are like 3 paragraphs. And it's like, you want me to bubble my whole life down into 3 paragraphs? And what that does is, it really, really makes you get clear about what you're here to do in this life, who you're here to impact, and what you're trying to leave behind. And a lot of times, the things that you leave behind, like, are your loved ones, are your children. They're not necessarily the money. It's the people, who are continuing to live through you. Like, my grandparents are living through me, right? Like, because they left such a legacy on me, the way that they lived their lives, the values that they had, they continue to live through me, because that's the way that I lived. And so, yeah, the obituary, it was a funny piece, right? It was a funny piece. I think we all, have an idea of what age that we're going to die at. Mine's like 95. I probably won't make it 95. I ain't gonna catch y'all. The way I'm rocking with my health as is, yeah, we're gonna be lucky if we
You were just talking about that.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting exercise, and the core values too. Like, I think the core values is, it's one of those things that it's really easy not to have, and it's really easy to let other people decide those core values, right? Like, you know, there could be certain fields of study that decide those core values for you, or you could be in the army and they decide the core values, or certain religions decide your core values. But, you know, creating your own core values is really helpful, because there's going to be times in your life where you have to pivot. And if you have your own set of core values that you can abide by, or that you can look back and at least reflect, like, is this really in alignment with me? And I think the reason that my coach asked me to do my core values is when I'm looking for a company, or I'm looking for a job, or I'm looking for an opportunity, and seeing if they match up with my core values. You know, does this company match up with my core values? Does this manager, does this boss match up with my core values? And if it doesn't, or maybe if it doesn't on all of them, or if it doesn't on some of them, like, you know, then you it should be more clear to you, right? Like, you shouldn't just go into an opportunity or a whatever blindly.
No, that's real. And that's making me think of a story that I have too. I didn't write my own obituary, but this is after I had just decided to make one of the biggest pivots so far in my life, leaving Tampa at the time. And I don't know how I stumbled upon this mindset to even ask myself this question, but I was like, if I got, terminally ill right now, what would I have to do to make sure it's done before I leave this earth? And that's when I went into my phase of getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning, getting that thing done, starting my nonprofit, really going in on it. And that's what gave me the answer then of what I wanted to do, or how I wanted to impact, and what capacity for the rest of my life. So again, you have different ways. Like, you could do it like Kamau way, actually write down that obituary, because when you write something down, it's actually, I think we were talking about this too. Like, you write down your goals, write down anything you want to achieve. When you write it down, it just like, it's like a form of really harsh, like, manifestation. For me in that time, I asked myself that question. I got to work, because just like when you really ask yourself that, it's just like, wait a minute, if I only had a year left, because you know, I failed to, don't want to put this out in the world. I don't want it, but you know, sadly got cancer. You know, you gotta do that. I don't want it. Like, dang, okay, what would I do? I really had to think, because I've been infatuated with one thing that I wanted to do my whole entire life. But then for some reason I went a whole different avenue. I'm like, this is a little deeper for me. So that definitely made me think about that, where you start getting together real quick, getting in your bag real quick.
Why do you think people are afraid about, like, the concept of death, or to talk about death, to talk about the end, to ask these questions?
Because it's such in the air. It's such an unknown. I mean, even if you're very religious, you read the Bible, well, if you're Christian, right, you know where you could possibly end up. I think still in the moment, it's like, when you really think about it, it's like, it's still of the unknown. I mean, I know I'm kind of tapping on some religious toes right now, but I think that's probably why. Like, that unknown is scary. I mean, even through life, honestly, is scary, even with these minute things, right? When we don't know where we're going to end up. And then you talk about, I'm about to be lights out for eternity. It's like, hold up. Like this, that's what I think. What about you, Tunji?
I think people are scared to talk about it because life makes it so easy for you to forget that you're not going to be here forever. You know, you get so caught up in the day to day, and life is so, I don't know, it's just so
It's
many
on the go.
components, so many different things that it's like you forget that I could die at any moment, right? You are not untouchable. Like, there's that high school, like, you know, teen, like early 20 phase where it's like, I can't be touched. And then we all get there. I think everybody touches humility. Some people get it touched at 8 years old. Some people, you know, 22, but where life's like, nah, I can touch you. Like, this person that you thought would be here forever, they can be snatched, right? You thought you would be able to see forever, your eyesight can be snatched. That health that you thought you would have forever, you know, your ability to walk can be snatched. And when you have that, like, put it in perspective of, I could be gone. Like Zuri said, you move different. And but that first step, that process is scary. That's why everybody that has almost died that I've ever known moves different. And it's one or two switches. Either it's like PTSD, like traumatic, how it happened, like you can't escape that moment, right? But the other flip to that coin is you can't escape that moment and you locked in different. Like, no, now I know. Because I'm on borrowed time. We all are, but they've touched the end. They touched that forever darkness and got to come back to the light. And they say, nah. Every day we gonna cook.
We own it.
We gonna cook. So I feel like it's a beautiful thing, and it's a scary thing to think about, because I've had I always feel some type of way because I haven't even told my mom about this. And my mom, my person, is like, don't say that. Right. I've had this thing where I know, and I don't know if I've said this out here before, but I made a deal with God, and I know I got till 40. Like, and that's part of the reason why I'm so greasy and that, like, I'm locked in. I got till 40. And maybe it's ignorant belief. Like, how you know you got till 40? I walked with God like Moses. Let's just, it is what it is. So and even if, like, let's say on another planet or your mind that I don't believe you, I believe me, right? I fully believe me when I say it, and it has me moving a certain way, operating a certain way. But the thing is, what happens when I hit 40, right? Now I'm living just like everybody else, right? And I have a reoccurring dream throughout different phases of my life where I'm in a car in an accident. I just fly off a ramp on some movie type stuff, and I can't control the brakes. But this dream has been in different phases of my life. And let's just say, Kamau, I ain't 95 when I'm flying off this bridge. I don't know how old I am, but I just have the reoccurring. And I don't look at it as a burden, right? I don't look at it as ominous, like, oh, what is the day? Like, I look at it as, if it was today, how would I live? If it was today, how would I want to live? Like Zuri said, how would I want to operate? Like, what would I have to do? And every day I touch what I have to do. I make it small and manageable. For me, it's speaking, right? I picked the gift. I love to speak. It lights me up. So selfishly, no, it's for me. And I believe, like, our whole life is a becoming. Like you said, planting seeds and cultivating them. So as long as I speak every morning, I could die today and I'm Gucci.
So before I hop in and answer this, I want you to answer something for me quickly, Tunji, right? So in your dream, do you see the final cause of your dream? Like, how can I ask this? I know dreams can be tricky, but let's see if you remember. Like, do you actually go off of the cliff and then, like, you wake up, you don't know what happened, or do you know that it was done for you in your dream? Which one is it?
I don't know. I think it's me. I don't know, right?
Okay.
I'm off of the cliff, and it's like right before impact, it's like blackness each time. Okay, like, and then you feel all of it, like the end. Okay. But I don't ever, like, see my body laying there on the ground, or I'm talking to, like, God, like, what's good? She like, I'm straight. Like, it don't get to that point. But it's
I asked that because I've had a similar situation where I've had a dream. Yours was a car, mine was, and it's like, some clarity just hit me, so I'm about to just stay with me, y'all. So I was in a dream, and the reason why I asked you that question is because I had the same experience on the ladder, and mine wasn't a car, mine was tornado. It was a tornado. I was on a roof. Don't know exactly where I was. I just know I was on a roof, and I didn't see faces, but I don't know if y'all dreams like this. I had energies around me that I was familiar with. So I knew I was with people, that I fuck with and I love. But at the same time, I was scrambling. And everything, kind of like my life within my dream, flashed through my eyes. And I'm like, okay, I have to find the land. Like, I have to find a way out of here. So it's like my kind of spirit led me. It's just like, all right, I see that door, right? Like, this is all through the dream. Go through the door.
Yeah.
Everybody is scrambling. Two people are smiling. They're having a great time. Now, mind you, we're in a tornado. Now, stay with me, y'all. Two people are playing like Foursquare. Like, they having a great time. It's like nothing around them is affecting
they ready to
them.
go.
But then I'm going past them, and I'm like, yo, like, what's up with y'all? Like, we should be trying to find a way out of here. And then it's just like the other people, they're just like, they're scrambling too. But it was just two people that were just enjoying their time. And now that I'm speaking this out, what if we looked at life that way? Like how you're saying, like how we're talking about where we're like, yo, like I have to do this thing before we go. Why can't we enjoy it as well? And I think we should start
Right.
to try to enjoy it as well. Still
Just
have
play
those smiles, but
Foursquare.
still, chasing our dreams because we never know when right. Because we never
Right.
know when things are going to end. Right. And you have people scrambling, you have this, but what if in this moment you were supposed to just be? Yes, it looks scary.
Mm.
Yes, I see the dark clouds and it's a tornado, right? But as you were telling your dream, I was like, damn, I feel that just
Yeah.
from a little different, but like we on the same page with that, right? And it could be so scary because I woke up and I was like, wait a minute, what the fuck was that? Like, I ain't even gonna hold you. I was like, what was that about? But as I'm hearing your story and as I'm hearing you pour your heart out, on this mic, it just gave me some clarity where I'm like, that could have been my waking up. Like, you better get going.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why you're here. Come on, like, let's stop playing. You don't. Oh, this is the part I forgot to add. I woke up before I could see how it ended, and that scared the shit out
Mm.
of me.
Yeah.
I ain't even gonna lie. It was a dream, but I truly believe dreams are not just dreams.
I wanted
That's
to
how I
jump
think.
in real quick because from
Yeah.
what both y'all are saying, I don't know if you've ever stumbled upon like somebody's social media page once they passed away, right? This happens to me a lot, especially on Instagram. And they don't even have to be people I know, right? They could be people I have no idea. They could be in New York. They could be like somewhere very disconnected from me. Oh man.
Hey.
What happens?
Hey.
Hey, that was Mama Bear. So
Go ahead, jump in.
I'm not even
Right.
going.
Right. Hey.
But yeah, what I was just gonna say is that when I do stumble upon these pages, the way that like I kind of determine whether I feel like they lived a good life is their energy, right? Like, did they show up fearlessly with the content that they created? Like, they didn't care about being judged. They didn't care about like, looking cool. Like, they really showed up as authentically them. And like you could see the people who were engaging with them, like, yeah, like that's awesome, right? Like, and just that's how you're having an impact, right? You're not trying to be cool with everybody else. You're really just showing up and you're giving, you're injecting life and energy and you're having fun, right? Like I look at people like that. I don't know how much money you had. I don't know how big of a family you left behind. I don't know if you had a business, but you look like you were having a hell of a time. You look like you were having fun and you were injecting life into
Just
people.
playing Foursquare.
Just playing
Right.
Foursquare.
In the middle of the tornado, like, hey,
Man.
somebody gotta throw these rocks. You feel me?
Yeah, facts. No, that's a good way to put it though, Kamau, because that's very relatable to our generation because we're so social media heavy, where we go to social media to see impacts. We go to social media to see if I should tap into what you're doing. Should I even care? Should I go to that link? I want to see how you show up. That's a part of our personality nowadays. So it makes sense, why we end up on someone's page to see what type of life they were living. Makes sense.
And it's interesting because like it's very easy to want to do what everybody else is doing. It's very easy to try to make all the carousels or all the reels or use all the same themes and songs that everybody else is doing, right? And you just try to give your own version of that, right? That's the easiest version of social media. The hardest one is when you're truly showing up as your authentic self and you're truly putting out the content, the messages, the pictures, whatever that you really like and that you want to put out. Not that everybody else is determined or makes it seem like it's cool, but you really taking your own stuff and your own style and you putting that out there. And I think like I'm just going to speak for myself. It's very tempting to want to appeal to the masses as opposed to the unique individuals who are similar to you. Because, even when you do show up as unique and you do show up as authentic, you're going to appeal to somebody. It's just going to be a very small amount of people compared to like if you're just doing the trending thing that everybody else is doing.
Nah, that's real. What it makes me think about is, well, a few things, but like going back to earlier when we talk about like impact, right? And how you can be there's the chosen one and there's the Morpheus. We underestimate like the value of one person. Like to think that, okay, like a thought exercise. You are not the chosen one at all, but you are two people away. You need to impact one person that will impact another person that will impact millions. What happens if you don't do what you're supposed to do? How much worse is it? Because all you had to do was touch one person.
That's it.
That was your responsibility, that one person. But because one person wasn't enough for you, millions don't get impacted.
Say that a freaking again.
Because one person wasn't enough for you, millions don't get impacted. Because you are so obsessed with being the chosen one rather than just being one that is chosen. Right? The crazy thing is we choose ourselves. Everybody has it built into them. Everyone. But it's so hard to choose yourself. And Zuri, like you said, like, well, some of the biggest things I've learned is like just to do it. Like not on some like Nike stuff, just like so many things that we say, man, I'm gonna do it tomorrow. I'm gonna do it 2 days from now. Not right now. I'm gonna do it now. If you can just make the mantra, the affirmation, the whatever, man, I'm gonna just do it now. Word for word, that inflection and everything. Man, I'm gonna just do it now. Man, I'm gonna just do it now. And that becomes your go-to. Your whole life will be transformed in a week, let alone a month, a year. Of man, for everything from the dishes to that task you got to do at work to that homework, that man, I'm gonna just do it now. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, whatever, it comes out like I want it to. If I'm gonna do it now becomes your mantra, and I'm speaking from experience, because I used to be like LML, last minute legends on deck, right?
Not the legend.
It's last minute legend. Like that's how I got through school. That's how I got through everything. It's due tomorrow. Let's get it. It's 9 p.m. This is where we stand up. this is where we show up, right? This is where we get it in. But when I started shifting from like last minute legend to I just want to execute, because I've been a dreamer for the longest, a visionary, a what if person. And when I was able to marry that what if person with the I'ma do it now, I feel untouchable. Untouchable in the sense of I get to decide whatever vision that I want to bring into reality. Just by simply saying, man, I'm gonna do it now. Whether it's perfect or whether it's not perfect, whether they like it or not, like this needs to be done. And this first draft will touch reality. And to what you were saying, Kamau, like my measuring stick of if I post something is if I smile, right? If I do a talk and I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, that's me, right? Or, ooh, I don't, that's that moment I commit to this is the one. That moment I commit to this is the one. Off the smile, off that feeling I got, because it was for me in the first place. Mm-hmm. And I got the feeling that I wanted. Mm. And that's when it's getting posted. Because in that whole process of picking the caption, picking the, what do you call it? The lighting, all the other stuff, you're going to start to find all these flaws. Well, I stumbled on that word. Well, I should have said it like this. What if I put this before this? And it's so easy to forget that feeling of this is me, right? This brought joy to me. And what's so hit so heavy this morning on TikTok, I saw a clip from Rick Rubin, you know, like the musician's guru that got more hits than just dumb across the board. He was like, I don't think you can make art for somebody else or with somebody else in mind. You make art for yourself. You do it for you. And that's when you can make something good. You can make something real. And I just took that as life, right? Because that's already the whole journey I'm on. And by you being you, like you said, Kamau, then people stumble upon you. That's how we stumbled upon each other. We were being us. We're here right now in this moment because we were being us. But oh, you're dope. You're dope too. You're dope too. And here we are now.
That's facts.
So it's like you have no choice but to be blessed by it. The question is, do you have the courage to be yourself?
That's facts. That's facts.
Can I spin the block real quick?
Spin it.
I wanted it, but it actually kind of is going back to both you guys' glows and grows. But it's actually two separate questions. So I'm gonna go with Tunji first. Tunji, you talked about one of your grows is learning how to say no. And trying to bring that focus into perspective and into life and really just, you know, staying in that place. You're such a given person, like I know you, I know how much of a servant you are to, people in your life, to the communities that you want to impact, to everybody, right? You're just such a servant, right? And I think there's a lot of people who can relate to that, just being a servant kind of person. How are you dealing with this, right? Like, how are you trying to get to a place where you're getting comfortable with saying no?
Well, one thing is alignment, right? Keeping the most important thing the most important thing. So if it's misaligned, it's easy to say no, right? So and it's also a journey of getting momentum. So if I'm chasing this thing and it's consuming all of me, and it's like, and this is the thing that's lighting me up and bringing me joy, and you're like, I don't know, do you want to watch the Warriors and the Dallas game? Like, yo, want to go out? We all meeting up. Usually, I'd be like, if I didn't have something that I was chasing that was consuming me, I'd be like, yeah, but I do. So I'm like, no. And that's an easy no. The hard no is when it's family, right? The hard no is like, can you take so-and-so to the airport? Nobody else can. Or I can, but it's going to put me out. And I have a decision to make. Okay, am I going to do this for my sister? Am I going to do this for my loved one? Or am I going to spend this 2 hours focusing on what I need to do? That's the hard no that I am still on a journey to figure out. I'm not going to hold you and say like, yeah, it's just, sometimes you gotta say no. I don't care if, you helped raise me and make me the human being that I am today. Like, nah, it's not easy. And sometimes I choose like, okay, I'm not going to sleep enough tonight. Or I lost those 2 hours. And so to answer the question, that's why it's still my growth. I haven't figured it out. Like if it's anybody outside of the inner circle, outside of those no's are easy. If it's okay, we got this money making opportunity, no, that's not aligned. But if it's like, I need you and you're one of my people, that no, I haven't figured that one out yet. I haven't, just keep it at 100. The no of I need you and you're my person, you're one of my people, nah. Just keep it at a buck.
Drop the mics.
Yeah. I don't know. That's the answer. I don't know.
I wish I could see his face. Like, he's looking at
telling you.
Man. Next.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you go ahead and ask Zuri her question, because I don't know if you wanted to gem.
Ain't nothing changing.
This is what you do. Like, okay, step 1, 2, 3. Like, nah, I'm still on step 0.
It was the face. That shit was hilarious. He was like, next, and don't care.
Oh my God, that's funny.
That was
all
funny.
Right. Zuri, this one wasn't even necessarily a question, but I think what you were just saying about your story and the man standing on the side of the street on crutches, and just how he was smiling, and as you were telling that story, you ended up smiling, and I think just what I noticed about that is just like happiness is infectious. Smiles are infectious. When even Tunji said what he said about like his social media, like, I know it's a successful post if I'm smiling, just I just wanted to bring that up just because I saw that out of that, like, sometimes like just being happy, just bringing that energy is a blessing in itself.
It really is. And again, I think, Kamau, you said this is one of your favorite quotes, I think. Tell me if I'm wrong, but you said it's beauty in the struggle. Like, it really is. And I think that's where the smiles come, when you start to see there are other things on the other side of whatever you may be feeling. And as I gave that example, that was his situation. And whatever he was feeling, he could be out there mad, angry, like looking at it. I mean, there are cars who just pass right by him. I mean, and so not to get back into that, it just really filled me up in that moment to see that smile, and for you to see that on my face, it definitely has purpose in that story. Yeah. That's just mic drop on that. Just smile, man. Smile. Like, it will really change your whole day, change your whole mindset. It just goes so deep, and it's so simple. And I think that's the part about it that kind of riles me up sometimes. That the most simplest things can be so hard to do sometimes.
Yeah. But and also I can't even remember what the study was, but it was a study that said like the benefits of a smile and what it does for your endorphins and your health and doing it every
Mm-hmm.
day. Like it's just like that's a health practice you need to do every day. But the caveat of if it's a fake smile is detrimental. If you faking it, like it's
Mm.
detrimental to your health, your psyche,
Mm.
how your body
Sheesh.
responds. But if you, so that's why when I was like teaching it, like, no, it has to be a genuine smile. So you need to connect it to a moment that brings you joy, right? So you need to have a moment that you think about that makes you smile. Even something like, what do you call it? Best friend. Like, remember when you doodled on yourself in second grade? Everybody got a story with their best friend, like you laugh about or whatever it was. Like just having something that you think about, it makes you laugh, it makes you smile. Part of it, well, I can't get this away, but uh I say smiling is involved, but no. We'll save it for another day. We'll save it for another day.
You saving the gym?
Yeah. We'll save it, Jim.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's in the workshop, and I want to be like
Oh.
they end up being in the workshop, and they're like, man, I know the answer. I'm like, man, shut up.
That's like the TikToks where you hit them.
Yeah. Shut up.
Shut up. That was good though.
Zuri, are we going to your segment?
I mean, we
Music.
can.
Come
I
on now.
ain't want to interrupt any gyms
That-
that were coming in.
Yeah, that felt
okay?
that felt like a deep side pause, like wrap
A
it
deep
up.
Negro sigh. Yeah.
Stupid
All
ass.
right, man.
The Negro side.
Speaking
Exhale.
of that, I need some before we get out of here, I need some good music, man. Let's put the people on. What's been making you smile and just feel good in your speakers this week?
I mean, all of us been on the same thing pretty much. I'm just gonna speak for me. Obviously, this Kendrick Lamar album, it's very loaded. In you know, I like the fact that it's a 2 disc thing. I thought that was very creative, or not even creative, but you just don't see that a lot anymore. That 2 disc thing. So I'm, that's kind of where my mind's been at. I'm really digging that song Savior. Future's not your savior, Kendrick's not your savior.
Yeah.
And I feel like, in a lot of ways we did think of Kendrick as our savior, our intellectual savior when it came to music, when it came to blackness, when it came to a lot of things, right? Like so much of, I think of Kendrick as a genius, truly. I think he's one of the most intelligent creators. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been rocking with. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a since we got the Kendrick's a given. Absolutely, I concur.
Mm-hmm.
Like the one where I think it's the track where he got the couple arguing. I'm like Grammy.
We cry together.
We cried. I'm like Grammy. Off of the realism of it alone, like whose house did you slide into and put a microphone? And this is really them going back and forth, and just like little nuances of the father one as well. Father Time with the Sampa, is it? Yeah, but
yes.
you know what
Father
I'm
Time
talking about.
Sampa.
Yeah,
Yeah, it is.
like that one go like dumb hard. And now to get a workout track, right? Something that I heard it on TikTok and I couldn't find it. And I just found it today earlier when I was driving back. Armani White, Billie Eilish. Go ahead and give that thing a listen. It's short, it's about mini 30 seconds. It got a stupid sample from the early 2000s. Big T Glock. Let me not spoil it. Like listen to it.
Okay.
Listen to it. Is don't like with all the consciousness we talk about, like this is the exact opposite of it. Okay, so let's just get that straight up. But it's a banger. I don't care what nobody says. We talk about imperfect people. My playlist get out of pocket quickly. Get out of pocket quickly. So it's definitely goes on my you know what time it is playlist. So when it's time to walk into the gym or walk wherever and be like, oh, I'm him. Yeah, that goes on that playlist. Yeah. Billie Eilish, Armani White.
Okay.
I can't wait for y'all to listen.
Definitely gonna turn that on after this. So I'm gonna do like y'all too. I'm gonna start with Kendrick. My fave, just because I'm a really I really like Blast. Die Hard was my favorite just for sound, but for lyric wise, my favorite was Count Me Out. Um, it was just I played that over and over and over again. Cause sometimes we, not to get deep again, but we could count ourselves out, and people damn sure be, whoever your people are, you want to call them enemies, whatever, who just doesn't believe in what you're doing, they can count you out. I mean, even family can sometimes. But yeah, we not gonna get back into another episode, but that would be that one. And then album wise, I got back on my girl Nao, Nao. Such a storyteller. My favorite type of music is storytelling, and she named this album Saturn, and that's my favorite album by her. Her voice, the cadence, that soul that she puts into it. I know I said Tim's last episode, and this kind of gives you another Tim's vibe. Just she has a very strong voice, and just how she tells a story from beginning to end is just beautiful. So if you into any type of just whether you a smoker, drinker, working out to slow music, whatever your vibe is in the park, is one of those albums where you just want to come to yourself and just chill out. You might be cleaning the house. It's one of those. It's just a great album.
Just added it. Oh, and
Yeah.
also with that Kendrick, number one, that Nail, I just added it. I'm gonna hit you up on that one
Okay.
as well. But that Rich Spirit.
Oh, that is
my
a good
daughter
one.
and I talked to her. They're like, I'm attractive. I was like, hey, stop. Come on now. Don't have me. Yeah, so that Rich Spirit.
Hey,
that one just hit different.
I wanted to ask y'all how y'all felt about Kodak being on the album, right? Because we normally think of Kendrick as this conscious, I'm not going to say politically correct, because I think he actually tries to be politically incorrect.
Yeah.
But the fact that he brought Kodak on the album was just such a plot twist that I felt like, I liked it. I like the interlude he did, and then I like the song he did, but I thought it was such a plot twist, and I was curious y'all thoughts on it.
And I think, crazy enough, I think Kendrick may see another see another version of himself in Kodak, like that good kid, Mad City type mentality. Even like Kodak, like coming into his own, and we don't necessarily think of Kodak as conscious, but like the stuff he speaks about is conscious and where he's at, right? He's not lying about anything. He's not pretending to be someone he's not. This is his story, his narrative. Because it doesn't come across, and it's not as, I would say, clean cut, as skilled as whatever as Kendrick, doesn't mean it's not truth. So like I really thought about that, and I thought about the piece of him saying like, got me like, I'm his interlude. Like, what you doing on the track with a legend, for him to speak to it, right? Like a legend in his making, in his own right, like still finding his way. And people always think, I don't think his journey is done. Like, what does Kodak Black look like 5 years from now? Like, I look at like what if Kodak Black ends up like pulling a David Banner? Right? We forget about like some people, how they navigate and switch lanes so seamlessly, we forget where they came from. So my question, I guess, to answer all of it is, my question becomes, what does Kendrick see in Kodak that we don't as of yet?
That's a good question.
Okay. I didn't care for it. I didn't care for it.
I ain't with it. All that's good and everything, but nah.
Yeah, it's a two-part for me. The first part on the music. Sorry, that's Siri talking in my ear. For the one part, for the actually music piece, it wasn't my type of style. And yes, Kamau, I agree with you. I was very surprised when I heard him over the speaker, because I never would have thought in a million years those two I see as different talents in the same industry, different style, will be on the album. And on the other side, which this could be very controversial, but especially coming from a woman, I did not. all of the allegations that were out there about Kodak.
Oh, I forgot about those.
I don't understand why Kendrick added him to the album. He could do whatever he wants. That is his album. That is his art. But when I heard that, that kind of made me look at the album differently. And that's just coming from someone who does not, support anything of any type of assault. So that's why I didn't really care for it on both sides. That's my little 2 cents. So yeah,
that's an
a lot of people separate art from personal life, but I don't. So yeah. So yeah, that wraps up the music. Yeah, that's a whole other episode too.
Like, can you separate art from personal life? Because I don't think you can. I don't think
it's in your character, because art is a part of character. It's a part of who you are. At least that's how I see it.
If you can separate it, it's not really art.
Yeah, because energies don't die. You have to put an energy into your art. Ooh, so whatever energy you're doing, whatever energy you're doing and putting out or putting on to someone else. I mean, some of that has to be in your art while I'm listening to it, and I just choose not to. I don't want that energy coming into me.
Real talk, even just energy and words. Like R. Kelly straight up like, hey, word for word. Like I'm gonna give you the game. Like this, this is the life. So it's a trip that it can. I don't know. I just don't think you can separate it. I think we want to. I know I want to. Especially when I be having my issues with my man Kanye and he be talking crazy about Harriet Tubman. Like, hey, boy, there's a lot of people you can talk about. When he said tub,
not her.
When he said tub, it's like, hey, graduation. Like, don't do this, Kanye. That's really how I was feeling. Like, don't do this. There's limits. There's limits. I done rocked with you a long time. Keep Harriet Tubman out your mouth.
That was perfect.
Young Will, like, don't do this. But yeah, that's a conversation for another day.
Oh, it really is. We could definitely hit on that. Can you separate art from personal? We could definitely hit on that.
All right, y'all. Remember to smile more.
Yeah, right. We love
already
y'all.
know.
Stay on the journey. And as always, for every pivot, may there be a proceed. Till next time.
Peace.